G'day everyone. Today I'm speaking with Bernie, founder of Stables Money, which is a very good stablecoins app, card payments, crypto app. Fuck yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Tom. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, man. I'm so glad we could finally do this. I feel like we've been going back and forth. There was a point where I was in Bali, and then you were in Bali like the day after I'd left, and I was like, dude, let's do a fucking Bali episode. And you're like,
That would have been
just
mad, yeah.
just missing each other. You're in Dubai at the moment, dude. What's the general vibe over there? What's the big themes? What's everyone looking at this year?
Hot, steamy, and the traffic is terrible. But we love Dubai, and the job and the work of the mighty royals over here. That's
Mm,
a good city in the desert, so that's very impressive. Um, in terms of, let's say, the vibes are mixed. I think there's
mm,
like a lot of excitement and energy around real world use cases of crypto and more specifically, I say stablecoins, um, mixed with a bit of jadiness around things that actually somehow still perpetrating and happening, but like nobody really understand who's using it or why people are funding it, I would say. That being said, it's yeah, I definitely gotta say like the stablecoin vibes ultimate, especially like around payments use cases, stablecoin chains, like specific stablecoin chains, and real world assets, I'd say as well. Those are,
sure.
at least maybe I'm biased, but I think those are the prevalent, most exciting things that so far I've seen. Probably DeepIn as well and
Mm,
stablecoin.
mm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say.
No, everyone's like I feel like now that all the risk stuff sold off post November, I feel like everyone really has pivoted quite hard in terms of like a longer term thesis towards stable coins. I think that's kind of like confusing to a lot of people because it's like, oh, well, wait, how can you be bullish fucking stable coins if they're pegged to a dollar? Uh, it's like one of the common things of like, dude, I'm so bullish USDT.
It's gonna go to
it's
two
gonna go,
dollars.
dude, $2 USDT. Let's go.
Dude, with
Um,
all the money they're making, I would believe it. I believe. I think it can happen.
well, this is like, and this is funny, but it's like I think a lot of people find it frustrating a little bit, that like, or at least the information around what stablecoins are doing isn't exactly. It's not like super transparent. There's lots of different protocols trying to do different things. We were chatting about a few before the show that are trying out some novel stuff. We'll see how that goes for them. But yeah, dude, I don't know. What's your read on how stablecoins play out moving forward? You've obviously got your side of things that deals
Mhm.
with payments. It's more like retail kind of focused. Maybe I'm inserting my own idea of what stables money is in here, but like there's the retail side of like transferring money overseas that the user sees and goes like, okay, stablecoins are really good for that. You don't have to get fucking murdered on fees every time you want to send some money from one place to
Mhm.
another and pay some intermediary motherfucker a shitload of money to do it. But outside of like the retail use case, what do you see kind of playing out with stables at the moment?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think like one of the most exciting spaces right now, and I think it's like that's also probably reflected into the environment around stablecoins and where also like, capital is being deployed is on the B2B side of things.
Mm,
There's definitely a massive use cases for businesses to leverage stablecoins. Or, I mean, either, like invisibly or like directly. Um, B2B flows are always might be complicated. So for instance, yesterday I was talking with a lady that runs one of the largest, I say like call it mobile banking company in Nigeria. And
mm,
they helping merchants buying or sending money, overseas. So, for instance, into Hong Kong and Singapore, if they need to, the supply is theirs, and so like stable coins really plays a big role into improving those type of flows. And business are becoming more and more increasingly aware of it, especially because when you go probably like from emerging economy into more developed economies, usually there is a risk premium that you always need to factor in when you make this type of payments. So what ends up being very efficient is actually, taking an exotic currency, converting to stable coins, do the global leg, and then convert the stable coins into local currency. And that's because, by doing that, you actually reduce your risk premium by quite a bit. And also, kind of speed up settlement and reducing counterparty risk. And so, like, I think like those use cases definitely very, very interesting, outside the retail use case, which would be almost like, building these quasi stablecoin neobanks that, allow people to be fully in control of their money, accessing digital dollars, and seeing where the money is at any given time, retaining purchasing power, and almost have this ability to have ultra connective, money into their pocket without necessarily storing cash, under the
Mm.
mattress. So I think that's like one of the interesting aspects that we're seeing today. I'd say one of the most interesting and exciting, I think, aspect of stablecoins, it's going to be what's going to play out next, which is, once you figure out to get this programmable digital money into individuals and businesses' pocket and hands, what are the other things that you can go and do with this money? Um, you know, Today you can transfer money, you can spend, you can pay. But it's going to be very interesting when you be really starting to unleash the whole full suite of tokenized products that you'll be able to access through in and out stablecoins. And then I think it's going to unleash, a whole lot new vertical of, products that you can offer or opportunities that you can unlock by, utilizing stablecoin almost as a medium of exchange, or a store of value whenever you want, but like accessing, product that before you wouldn't be able to access. So T-bills, very boring, very,
Mm.
let's say, prominent, but back in the days, or like even today, I don't know if you ever tried to get um, access to T-bills, usually what you got to do is you got to open like a broker account with one of these companies that seems coming out straight out of the 70s. Super taxing onboarding for them. And once you complete all of that, um, there's a minimum requirement of 100K US to, getting exposure to T-bills. And so really, like I think like starting to tokenize, whether it's like yield-bearing stable coins, whether the actual, tokenized T-bills, like I think that's a great example into can, lower the barrier to entry while also, giving people means to reach better outcome. And I think like we're now on the verge of this people are going to start understanding stablecoin more and more for payments, and next they're going to understand it more and more for tokenization and financial products.
Yeah. Okay. Fuck yeah. Damn, I didn't realize that with the whole like that shows my level of financial education, but like the idea that you need 100K to actually just buy T bills raw and actually get like the yield from T bills. It's like, hey, you need
Yeah.
100K. It's like we could probably make that. And then you have like a much safer interest rate account, regardless of what happens with actual rates. You can actually have exposure to T bills through tokenized assets.
Hmm.
Damn. And I think that's one of the big things that like Tron has succeeded really, really well in is offering basically USDT to people
Hmm.
in countries where the local currency is just dog shit. You have hyperinflation, and it's just that use case of being like, oh yeah, fuck, I'll you know slap in my domestic currency every time into stablecoins, hold
Mm.
weight there, and yeah, go. Tron's done well on that front in terms of
Yeah.
securing value from South America and
Def-
a lot of Africa.
mhm.
But yeah, man, no,
But like
interesting.
that's the interesting part of Tron. I don't know. Have you ever used Tron?
I went onto Sun Pump for a while, and I
Oh,
think I just
nice.
lost money. I think I lost
Not
money on Tron
surprised.
memes. I I joined at that part where everyone was talking about it, and I was like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's still life here, and then got
All
mauled
right.
on Tron meme coins and was like, and that's the last time I used Tron.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because, and that's what I find actually so interesting about Tron. It's given the incredible distribution that they reach in emerging market, one would expect that like it's actually dirty cheap to use, but it's not. It's actually quite expensive to do stablecoin transaction on Tron. It's like a couple of
Really?
dollars. Yeah. And so I think that's
Shit.
like one of
Okay.
those things that like people don't realize. And that's where you're seeing probably some of the newer, call it like USDT aligned chain, such as Plasma,
Hmm.
coming out with zero fees USDT transfers, Lightning Fast built on Bitcoin stack. So I think there's going to be like a whole lot of improvement coming almost at infrastructure level when it comes to payments. I mean, there's, the Plasma, the Codex, almost on the USDC side. So yeah, I think it's like customly, purposely built stablecoin chain will hopefully more get, all of the volume away from like the more custom build chain, just because it
Yep.
will be specifically designed to go and address, these type of challenges that you probably see in emerging market. But not a lot of people realize.
I didn't know that Tron was charging like multiple dollar fees to move shit around. It would make sense then that like a competitor should just be able to come in and be like, "Hey, we can do this on like a zero fee, charge like a point 0.1 bip spread or something," and just
Mhm.
be like, "Cool, whatever," and like have three servers running it and just be like, "Cool, fuck it, this will do." I'm very keen. I don't think I've ever actually asked you this, even like in person or elsewhere, but with stables, man, what kind of gave you the idea to start it?
Mm.
What was the thing that you were like, I want to run a stablecoin app? We'll get into some more stuff in a sec. 'Cause I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how things are in Australia because you're based here in Oz still, or have you moved shop fully?
One question at a time, maybe.
One one
Okay, okay.
question.
Where
Okay,
do you want me to start?
we'll start with what gave you the idea to start stables? How
Okay.
did it kick off, and how did
Yeah.
you get to where you are now?
Okay, cool. That sounds like a good plan. Yeah, so I mean, I've basically been my entire career straight out of uni, working in fintech. So I studied accounting and finance, so somewhat call it as much as financially literate that gives you, probably not a lot, but I end up working like in startup, personal management, finance, and payment DHN categories. And almost I say, as a proximity of working with payments, and I've always been like kind of focused on the product UX sides of payments, or call it like, consumer fintechs. And so when I've started seeing stablecoins and how people were using stablecoins back in the days, I think like a few things kind of hit me more broadly, which was okay, so now we have digital money that can be used to settle value instantaneously cross-border at a fraction of a cost with no intermediaries. But the user experience is really dog shit. And so um, while this is going to be the way that money probably is going to move in the future, the way to leapfrog actual adoption and usage is by building, an interface that, I mean, crypto native number one can use because I don't know about you, but like I don't think it's very rare to say that like every time you go and find, especially like back in the days, I think things are getting better now, definitely. But every time you go and start using crypto product, at times it might take you a couple of hours to actually understand which button to click and to make things work. And so it's like, yeah, the UX is really bad. The tech is there. How do we gonna package these in a way that is digestible and makes sense, to people? Um, so almost like I say, we started stables on the premise and the thesis that like the UX challenge for stablecoins needed to be solved, and there was um, a worthwhile challenge to be solved. Um, and so, like we basically started the company on the premise where we wanted to go and build a an interface that packages stablecoins and natively connects them to payment rails, payment methods, and give the neo-banking like experience to the users. So that was probably 4 years ago now. Uh,
Okay.
a few more silver hair after. I think like the thesis now kind of proven right. Like I guess on a number of fronts, such as like the importance of stable coins we're gonna play, not only in the industry, but like more broadly, I think in
Mm.
the world and in finance and the way money moves. And I think like now the new thesis or the new idea or the new observation, I would probably say that I'm currently battling in is while the job is not done, right? Like it's like the stablecoin UX hasn't been solved yet. I think like we're making good progresses. Um, but it's gonna be even more of a need of doubling down on how to think about UX and curation and um, almost discovery because we're gonna be like I this is my challenge maybe for the listeners is like in a year time from now go and look at how many stable coins are going to be out there.
Yeah.
Like maybe today there's already 50, I don't know, hundreds. And I reckon like in a year's time, there's going to be thousands and thousands of stable coins. And so the challenge for issuers or payment chains is going to move from the infrastructure level to actually the distribution level. And so if you have a solution for how to build products that people can use. If you have a user base and you have the ability to curate um, experiences, then I think what's going to happen is like there's going to be almost a very capitalistic marketplace for people that are going to build something like that. That they'll be able to go and direct usage and change behaviors by utilizing the right incentives. And so I really see a world where all these issuers or payment chain would have to start throwing incentives at these apps that they own the customer in order to get distribution to their stablecoins. Because at the end of the day, from a customer perspective, and I think this is true um, in finance, it's true with credit cards, it's true in payments. It's like we all mercenaries. And so whoever is going to throw the best incentives, the best cashback, I don't know, the best scheme towards a US dollar or a non-US dollar, that's where probably is going to win. And so it's probably going to have like this fierce competition between all of these issuers that would be trying to incentivize and sway, these almost like up level product with a base to adopt their solution. And I think it's going to be highly cyclical. And so I think it's actually going to be very interesting soon to be a consumer facing business and be a consumer in stablecoins because I think like this issuer would have to start incentivizing or trying to
True.
captivate people attention to get distribution. And you see that what happened
True.
with Circle, right? Like you see Circle and what they've done with Coinbase, in their filing for listing, lots of the yield the Circle is making is actually going upstream um, to the distribution player, Coinbase in this case. Um, and so, I expect more and more of that to happen. And then you would have probably, something that becomes like the de facto liquidity layer, which is probably seems like to be Tether, to be honest, where
Mm.
through Tether you'll be able to go through, all of these other different instruments.
Yeah. Okay.
Spicy
With
take.
Yeah, no, no, no. It makes a lot of sense because it's like you are going to start if there's 1,000 fucking apps to use stable coins and shit on. It's going to be like, well, who can offer native yield? Who could like store your stables, but while they're there, you're going to get access to 5-6%. whatever it is, rather than just having it as it's like, okay, we've solved payments, UX is good. And I mean, full shillio, dude. Your product is something that I use like fairly consistently. Like it's what I'm going to figure out my tax sitch on this later, but it's just like whenever I, have wins in the trenches that I want to like take out and actually have as stables that I keep and don't just pile back straight into the fucking market and give to some other guy. Um, I I will park it in stables. Like, and the on and off ramping experience is fucking good too. Like, I think particularly as an Australian, like the ramp side of things of like just having one place that isn't a centralized exchange where you can go and take AUD, put it into US dollars, and that's fucking it. Yeah. So no, GG's on building what you've built with stables.
Ref link down below.
Ref link down below. Make sure everyone go check it out. Yeah, I will for this. Fuck yeah.
Sick.
I will, because I'm like, it's actually solid, and yeah, because I
Thank you,
don't like
appreciate it.
shilling like speculative products on the show, unless I had a very good reason to do so. Just because I think crypto is kind of like riddled with like, hey man, go buy the fucking thing, and it's like I'm not gonna go
Oh, dude, I
broach
landed
that
in
yet.
Dubai the other day, and I've seen like at the bag pickup point, there was like these banners saying NGC coin, the opportunity of a lifetime to become a millionaire. Buy now. I'm like, how the fuck is this legal?
Fuck, dude, that's
I'm like,
great,
that's,
dude.
I'm
The
like,
idea
wow.
of
But
I'm gonna start
I think
shilling.
it's like capitalism at its best, right? So
Yep. Well,
it's
it
like
is. It's like
Darwinism at its
tokenized.
best, probably. Yeah.
I think Darwinism is probably the
Maybe that's what
correct
it is.
element of
Maybe that's
evolution
what it
here.
is.
It's like
Yeah, that's it.
you fall for that, you got bigger problems.
Oh, you
Yeah,
bro.
it's a way of cleaning it out. It's just like, okay, cool. We'll we'll come in and we'll shill, and whoever gets it, that's them done. But yeah, dude. In terms of like the wait, before I ask that, I'll ask the question I asked before. Because I know that you're based in Sydney, right? Like most of the time, and you've built this company in Australia. How do you
Mhm.
find like the regs side in Australia? Because I know that when we spoke last, you were talking about either like moving the company to Dubai, or moving to Dubai because like there's just much cleaner regs over there. What have been some of the things that you faced, in Australia in terms of like building fintech slash crypto fintech
Mm.
apps here?
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's always been like, very conscious decision for us.
Hmm.
Probably one of the other contrarian things that we've done, aside from starting a stablecoin business when nobody was actually excited about stablecoins, was that we would have to do in
Just
a fully
early, bro.
regulated, just early,
Yeah.
which doesn't mean good, but early. So at least I got that chip on my shoulder gone. I think it's like it was always about doing it the right way. We always thought because stablecoins are gonna go and change the landscape into how money settle and into how money moves is going to be inevitable that they will be eventually, fully regulated and structured in a way that's going to be seen as, as a regulated product. So we started a company in Australia with the premise Australia, I'll say worldwide, is well known for its very high bar of regulatory compliance. So usually if you can comply in Australia, there's good chances that you can comply in many other jurisdictions around the world. Um, and Australia is also a great sandbox for building fintech and innovation. If you think about it, and uh, and this is how I rationalize it, it's almost like it's so far away from the rest of the world that and it's such a melting pot of like Western culture and Eastern culture that like if you get some level of traction in Australia, then there is a higher chances of you to actually go and find product market fit in other jurisdiction. Um, and so like, I've seen that in the previous, I say companies that, I was working on in fintech where, started from Australia and then global from Australia. Um, Inevitably, though, I would say that, once the ambition start growing past Australia, then you need to start thinking about a bit more global business. And so, like Australia now is one of our jurisdiction in which we operate
Mm.
in, but it's not like with the view of not being or like not being the main jurisdiction. We're really now seeing ourselves like stablecoins inherently global. And so, like we've been basically thinking about that the same way into the ways that we, run the business. So I think it's like,
Yeah.
to summarize, it's like you start in Australia, you build a product, you prove product market fit, and then you gotta think bigger and have bigger aspiration. And so that's what we've done.
In wider crypto, with all of the different stable coins that are popping up, because I mean, like you have like your two major ones, your USDC and your USDT, so Circle and Tether. But then there's also lots of other like DeFi
Hmm.
protocols that have launched their own stablecoin products. Like Maker has Sky now
Hmm.
is like USDS. You've got Athena
Hmm.
USD, and you've got all these other like kind of primitives popping up that offer yield by owning the stablecoin. How do you view the landscape of that longer term? Like, do you see those things becoming more used by retail, or do you think it stays kind of internal to crypto? Do you see like the idea of like normies getting Athena USD and being like, oh, cool, I can have native yield from a stable coin? Or do you think that's kind of like a UX thing that has to be built in by consumer apps? I'm just really curious to get your read on
Yeah.
the landscape outside the big ones of just like here's
Yeah.
USDC, here's USDT. What else is there, and what do you think is going to happen in the industry?
Yeah, no, that's definitely an interesting and I think a good question, something that I say we think about quite a bit. And so my observation there, and like for instance with Athena, like the team did an incredible job in bootstrapping a new stable coins and made it the fastest growing stable coin in I think like in history, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like, growth. Um, and there it was really the idea. I think like they've been really pushing the envelope forwards into the concept of what is a stable coins and what can be done with the stable coins. So, they started by almost like tokenizing the basis trade. So, on perps, you buy spot, you edge it on um, on perps, like you go shorts and then you're milking the funding rate. And now you see, I think, like more and more people like thinking about what else can we tokenize and back it by a stablecoin. So I think it's like in terms of, USD more specifically, or like, these yield bearing stablecoins, then there's been like an evolution to move it from specifically just, call it like tokenize perps funding trades to more building switch into when the yield drops below a certain amount, then goes fully um, into T-bills. So if I'm not wrong, they are the biggest buyers of BlackRock Beetle, the tokenized BlackRock T-bills, which I think is super fascinating because now you're seeing the melting pot of um, traditional finance and these DeFi guys that they come and becoming the biggest, buyer of one of these instruments that like, wanna behemoth as as tokenized and launch. And so like I think it's like those are on the institutional side, that's where you're gonna see first the convergence, not pun intended. Also, they just launched, I think, a chain called Convergence with Securitize. So maybe that's where that come from. But it's like it's really the convergence between like TradFi and DeFi. And now can now TradFi utilize the benefit that DeFi has to offer, tokenization, 24/7 access, liquidity, redeemability, in the real time without having to go through banking hours. And I think retailers is what's coming next. And again, like it's kind of touching upon what I was talking about earlier of, hey, we started with a stable coin. Now the stable coins is becoming more and more of a proxy or a way into other type of instrument or other tokenized instrument. They could still be also be stable coins in their own ways, but they're back differently. And so I believe that now the UX for this type of product is going to become, increasingly more important, because, again, like some of these product ads are inherently complicated. And so the way to, strip them down and make them understandable to say not so sophisticated retail base, it would have to be the consumer apps. So yeah, there's definitely, I think, like a big roles that product like stables or similar will play, I think, into the distribution of these novel up and coming either stable coins, real world assets, or tokenized, even tokenized gold, right? I think like that's also
Mm.
something super interesting and very topical because of the performance. But yeah.
Okay, so with stables, I see that you've launched like a points program
Mhm.
recently. Can you share a little bit about what that is, how it's going to work, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, it's not launched yet. So
Okay.
make of that what you will. Um, but it might be humming along in the back. That being said, I think it's like when you think about stables and what we built, it's like a highly utilitarian product. Um, People using to so akin to a alternative way to store, transact, and send money. So all of the transactions that we're seeing are really um, pretty much everyday use cases. And while that's great and probably pretty rare in crypto, I think there is an element that you wanna build on top of utility, which is kind of rewards. And again, I think the concept of rewards it's very well known and understood by the broader, also like non-crypto demographic. There's big group of people that they try and optimize for credit card points, for cashbacks. And so, once you have a better form of transferring, settling, and storing and saving money, um, the natural extension of that is like how do I incentivize and rewards people for utilizing, this solution over other? Because at the end of the day, we're all mercenaries, like I think, like I said before, and so you kind of want to reward your early users. And so the concept here is to not only come up with a better, call it like form of money for people to, go about their own everyday life, but also come out with the best, rewards for the people utilizing the solution. So the idea here is to incentivize any sort of money movement or referral, or eventually at some point later down the track, if we'll ever have a earn product, like earn action that you complete, and then those points, while being considered points, they might be worth something down the line. And so the idea is we want to reward the early adopter and the early user of stables. Um, Ideally, we would want them to reap the benefits of utilizing stables early days. So when you think about almost payment networks or network more generally, these days, usually there's like, one centralized actor that accrues all the value. Um, I think it's like here there's an opportunity to kind of go and distribute some of the value that this network of people sending money or like moving money, interacting with money more broadly, generate back to the actual users. And so like that's really the idea of stable points. So it's gonna be a sick experience. Like it's gonna be fully mobile. and we're gonna try to make it as gamified as possible because I think that's also like another big opportunity to build good like money movement products. Is like gamification is important.
Mm.
Um, I think we have a lot of financial engineering in crypto, but we don't have a lot of good gamification. So I think like hopefully this gonna be, I mean, while it's gonna be probably pretty simple as it gets
Mm.
rolled out. But it's gonna be a good foundation for then further gamifying all the things you're doing to stables.
Yeah, okay. No, I think that's a huge thing. Like all the crypto stuff, it's like you log in and it's like using the fucking internet in 2002, and you're like, okay, this isn't very fun, but I guess it does something. So I do think that, yeah, props to sticking in some good UX on this side because that's like the big barrier at the end of the day. It's like the main reason that I still use Combank is because I've
Hmm.
tried other banking apps, and I mean like St. George and other
Oh man,
thingies.
it's bad.
The app is,
It's
you
bad. Yeah.
was using HSBC for a bit because I was
Oh
trying to
my
get money
God,
over.
like that's
I was trying to
that's
get
like
money over to Europe, and I was like,
yeah,
"What is this? Like, just hire a
yeah, yeah,
fucking UX team. This is
yeah.
terrible." Like,
Like your money
Combank
in
is
one
just,
bucket, and they say you have no money in your bank account. You got to figure out. You got to move it from here. It's yeah, a mess.
and it takes like time for the dollars to show up in different places, and you're just
But
left in this
but
moment of being
I
like,
actually have a yeah, I have a theory there, which
"Hmm,
is like probably is done on purpose,
you think so?
possibly
Why do you
because
think that they've just got shitty UX?"
it creates barrier to actually move money around, and like it's making money to be moving freely too easily actually goes against your sole KPI of having more money under management.
True.
So maybe it's that. I don't know. It might be me
It
speculating,
makes
but like I'm
sense.
like, like
That's
surely you like
definitely
one of the biggest bank in the world. You could afford like a team of UX designers,
like
and
it
so
wouldn't
yeah,
take much. You could literally just go to
shouldn't be too
Silicon
hard.
Valley
Yeah,
in a week and be like, "Hey boys, we need a new app," and it'd be like, "Done."
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I
maybe their
think
system also pretty antiquated, so maybe they're still running on like super old infrastructure. Who knows? But so that could also
true.
be the other. It's like, oh, I gotta change these. Well, actually, if you want to change that, there is this database and this dependency back from 1999 when we first created our first data structure. It needs to be changed. Like you wouldn't believe the things that yeah. When I
Yeah,
was younger, back in my days, there were some databases that were like coded by the CEO of such company, and it was not a developer. But like it's like plus the company being a multi-billion dollar global behemoth, there were like still some stuff that was depending on it. So
yeah.
I
You
like
actually like
I
you lift
yeah,
the
it's
lid on it, and it's just a
that's it
bunch of
like
shit kind of
ooh.
held
And you
together with duct
and you want to
tape,
close
and
it,
you're like,
yeah, and you want to close it back down. I'm like, okay, that's
"Yeah,
it's been
true."
working so far. Yeah.
It's probably not as simple. I think that that must be the case in Europe because I remember going over to like I spent a bit of time in France, and the banking system over there is just
Mm,
it's unbelievably bad. Like I think that in Australia we have the luxury of, and I think that it's a similar scenario in the States as well with banking and payments and
mm.
shit. Like it actually kind of sucks. That's why stuff like Cash App popped off like so well over there. And like now Apple Pay, like they just kind of
Yeah, yeah,
came in
yeah.
and were like, hey, all those fintech startups, good luck. We've
Mm.
we're doing Apple Pay. But like, yeah, no, the banking systems in Europe is just it's phenomenally bad. And not just from like a pure UX and an
Not
app
only
point of
that.
view but just everything. Like you have your carte
Yeah.
bleue, and you can't spend a certain amount each month without going to the bank teller in person and
And tell
saying,
them, yeah, oh my God.
"Hello, I'd like to spend more of my own money on a debit card, not even a credit limit,
Ah,
but like I have the money, but we can't spend more than this."
please,
You're
yeah,
like,
please let me do it. But at least we
yeah,
invented the little cap on the water bottles.
oh, you guys,
That was
yeah,
great.
well
That
done.
was
Yeah,
great.
it's
So
got the
like you can unscrew bottles and keep it attached. Wow. And scratch your nose or your face every time you're trying to drink water. It's
that
innovation
was
right there,
puzzling.
bro.
I went over there
Yeah.
in last year, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was the thing everywhere. And I was like, okay. I mean, I think there is actually really good downstream effects for it, like environmentally. Like they are actually doing. I saw someone put out like a tweet thread that was like talking about the number of bottle caps that actually do go into the ocean and the number that
Huh.
are saved, and I was like, okay, fuck it, fair. But yeah, that was that meme for a bit of like US
I
innovation, and it's like
yeah,
rockets
yeah,
going
yeah.
into outer space, and it's like EU
Europe.
innovation. Click.
The past 10 years, yeah, the past 10 years of EU innovation. It's been a
This
lot
is
of
what we got to show.
R&D, that's it.
Yeah, man. But yeah, dude, fuck. Outside of stablecoins, man, what are you kind of excited for in crypto? Like, I know we were talking a
Mm,
little bit before about the show. There's lots of stuff to be kind of like kind of shitty about and a bit jaded by.
hmm
We were having
That's
a
always
little
the
chat
case,
about
though. Every
yeah.
conference is the case. I think it's getting better. Like
Mm.
I remember the most I feel jaded was when I was seeing like there was the X to earn meta, and I was seeing these
Mm.
things like sleep to earn. I'm like, oh my fucking God, please.
It's just like
Please kill me. I'm like, what is this shit? Funded
yeah.
clearly by VC, because some very, I mean, not very, I wouldn't say very prominent VC, but yeah. I was like, damn. Still, still
Yeah.
working. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think there's a few things that I get excited about, and pretty much like, related to what we do in some way, shape, or form. I mean, I think like there's something super interesting happening on the AI agent side of things. And how do you connect AI agents to intent technology to go and do stuff on your behalf? Like prompt AI, intent, action, and kind of how then these things all happen on chain. And, how do you get then AI agent to utilize this technology to make things happen in the real world? So you can think of like, near intent or chain signature, which is, this way of abstracting a lot of complexity away and just like packaging into a simple, action-based type of command. I am here and I want to go there, abstract a bunch of stuff away, abstract the chain away, and, get you the stuff that you want or get you to go where you want it. So I think like you've seen it more broad, like the Infinix guys recently integrated that. So there's some like very cool stuff happening at the abstraction level, I would say. I think there's a lot of very cool stuff happening at the programmatic agent-based payments level. Um, and then I'd say like, more broadly, anything that goes and help improving the UX, I think like I get excited about. There's I think some definitely good progress on, how do you authenticate, how you create wallets, how do you recover wallets. Um, that I think is like, good step forward. I'm still not entirely convinced that's what retail will use.
Mm.
Because I'm still like, I don't think this anyone actually landed on custody, non-custody. What's good, what's bad, what's gonna win. Honestly don't know. Like my gut feel is like actually nobody cares aside from us in a circle jerk of crypto native or people that have been in very tough situation where you need to rely on self custody or you have a very probably unreliable financial system where then it becomes a non-option. Yeah, and as I said, like honestly, it's still stablecoin related, but like stablecoin payment chain are I think they're getting me pretty excited. I went to this. So while I was jaded, very much so for most of my time here in Dubai, um, the best event by far that I went to, I was like, oh my God, it's like met incredible people. It was like this plasma, tether event.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, everybody doing super cool stuff, real stuff, real businesses, real problems. I was like, damn, I am excited of being part of that, versus like the sleep to earn meta type of things.
Yeah, dude. That is the big thing of like it's really refreshing to see when crypto actually tries to solve real problems.
Mm.
I feel like there's so many kind of like engineers that have solutions that go looking for problems and they're like, "Oh, well, this really cool thing does this." And it's like, "Why?
Yeah.
For who? What reason?" I'm sure it's technically sound. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that works
And
really,
there's a
really well in.
token. I haven't told you there's a token. Why asking why? There's a token, bruv. Yeah,
That is true. That is true. There's always a token. Yeah.
always a token.
Nah, man.
But real world assets as well. Also, like, let's not forget. I think that's like, um, again, like tokenized gold, tokenized equity, tokenized T-bills, tokenized financial instrument. I think we touched upon earlier, but I think that's
Mm.
like about to unleash a level of, yeah, new products and accessibility that like we haven't experienced before.
Yeah, man. It makes so much sense. Like trying to move shit around on TradFi rails, and especially when you actually just like think that you want so much of the stuff that you buy anyway is already a representation of the asset
Yeah,
anyway. So it's like, and
exactly.
people I think get freaked out by like the tokenizing bit, and it's like, guys, it's already tokenized in a way. It's just
Yeah,
really shit with no
yeah,
liquidity and no ability
yeah.
to send it anywhere. Like it's already a
And you still,
representation.
yeah, gotta wait that you're working. Like it's not 24/7.
Yep,
But yeah, yeah, yeah.
correct.
I
It's
mean,
just
yeah,
that, yeah.
it's gonna be very interesting when those type of things start trading 24/7 as well.
Yeah.
It's like people are not used to it. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm a stockbroker. Work Monday to Friday. I get Saturday and Sunday off. And I'd be like, nah, man. Welcome to fucking Schizo Town where, number goes up and down every day. But that's why I'm like, yeah, hot take. I think crypto bros will be well positioned for that type of word because already half of it is super fucking psychopath, so schizophrenic by the market action on any day, any time. And so built different. Bring
Built
it on.
different, ready for it. Like, what do you mean it
That's
doesn't
it.
close at 4 p.m.? Are you kidding? What?
That's
It's like,
it.
nah, dude, shit can happen at 2 a.m. Good luck.
That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Position
Nah,
yourself for
awesome.
that.
Man, thanks so much for coming on the show. Where can people find you on
Yeah.
socials? And, well, what do you got coming up next? What do you want to tell people about? Where do you want them to go look at and have a play around on?
Yeah, for sure. So maybe on what's coming up next, Stable's always, I think like as we touched upon earlier, we started building, in Australia, almost in a sandbox. Now we really have this much global ambitions. And, one of the most requested features is the ability to give people cards outside of Australia. So that's something that we moving very quickly on it. So I'm expecting that out in the next couple of weeks. So they're going to be major, followed by the ability to provide physical cards to our stable users. Um,
Awesome, man. I've been wondering when a physical card's coming. Fuck yeah, dude. Sign me up.
and well, we need to make sure it works first. And also, like we've recently launched Stable Business, so ability for businesses to onboard and start utilizing the stable services on and off ramps, money remittance mostly, and then cards is going to be at a later date. Should be around the same timeline. That's when we're releasing the product for the rest of the world. Um, and also, like we launch Europe SEPA rails and virtual accounts, and USD virtual accounts. So if you're a stable user now, when you sign up, or if you're already verified, you just need to do a step up, and we can provide you with a virtual bank account in your name in the US that you can pretty much use across the world to deposit US dollar or euro and get stable coins converted and into your balance. And I think where you can find us online is Stables. Um, I think it's a hyphen or underscore money.
Hmm.
And I am Stables Bernie. So yeah, if you're ready to do some brain damage and you want to follow me, I got lots of great things to say.
Good shit, man. No, I feel like we have similar Twitter presences of just like, it's predominantly shit posting. Like,
I mean, you got to shit post.
people,
I think it's like it's a beauty of what we do. Like it's also how
yeah,
do I get the edge off? It's sometimes I need to be silly.
yeah, dude. I have fun on Twitter. So many people getting like real caught up in all the politics shit, and it's just like, nah, I'm relaxing over there, talking shit. But yeah, dude, man, thanks again for
Just
coming
don't
on the show,
show my
bro.
mom the algo. What is the algo serving me? Otherwise, I'll be
Yeah,
troubled. Yeah.
we'll keep that one under wraps. Yeah, yeah. Bernie's mum, don't look.
Please don't.
Alrighty, bro. Dude,
Thanks, Tom.
fuck yeah. This was sick, man. Thanks for coming on. We'll
Great
we'll
to be
run it
here,
back
man.
soon, man. This is good.
Sounds
I'm
good.
glad we could finally do it.
Have a good one, man.